Hello everyone. Our Trailblazing team has come out with a series of videos on Indian history. Since modern Indian history is most important from the perspective of various examinations, it has been covered first. We are going to start with events that lead to the struggle of 1857. To gain foothold in India, British East India Company adopted various methods. Some of them were wars like Battle of Plassey and Anglo-Mysore Wars, various acts like Pitt's India Act and various Charter Acts, and various policies like Doctrine of Lapse and Subsidiary Alliance. We will see one by one all of these. Let's talk about the different wars which British raised in India to gain its foothold. Some of them are Battle of Plassey and Battle of Buxar, 3 Carnatic Wars, 4 Anglo-Mysore Wars, 3 Anglo-Maratha Wars, 2 Anglo-Sikh Wars, 2 Anglo-Burmese War, Anglo-Nepalese War, Opium War, and Anglo-Persian War. In this video, we will see how the British got a foothold in India. We will see 2 wars related to this Battle of Plassey of 1757 and Battle of Buxar 1764, and also the 3 Carnatic Wars. So let's start with Battle of Plassey. In 1756, anticipating French and Dutch fortifications in Bengal, the English began reinforcing troops at Fort William, Calcutta. Siraj-ud-Dowlah, the last independent Nawab of Bengal, had just succeeded to the throne after his grandfather Ali Vardi Khan. Siraj was already angry with the English because of the rampant misuse of the trade privileges given to British by the Nawab of Bengal and non-payment of tax and duty by the workers of the British East India Company. Infuriated, he asked the British to stop the fortifications. However, English ignored him. Siraj-ud-Dowlah attacked the fort and its neighbouring church. In June 1756, the British forces surrendered and Calcutta was renamed Ali Nagar and a mosque was ordered to be built inside the fort. In Fort William, about 70 officers and soldiers of an English company, which included Indian, Portuguese and Armenian soldiers, were herded into the fort's small prison. Overnight, 43 of them died due to asphyxiation in an incident that became the infamous Black Hole of Calcutta. 1 year later, Clive revenged at Plassey with the help of Nawab's uncle Mir Jafar and local moneylenders. Siraj-ud-Dowlah was betrayed and defeated. The formidable Bengal army of about 60,000 soldiers, 300 cannons and 300 elephants outnumbered Clive's forces of 3,000 by 20 times and yet ended up deserting or surrendering. The battle was lost by soldiers who did not fight and won by generals or subedars, not exactly gallant. Mir Jafar succeeded Siraj after the British victory in 1757. Mir Jafar received military support from the British East India Company until 1716, but failed to satisfy various exorbitant British demands. In 1758, Robert Clive discovered that Jafar had made a treaty with the Dutch. As a consequence, in October 1760, the company forced him to abdicate in favor of Mir Qasim. However, Qasim's independent spirit to force the East India Company out of his dominion led to his overthrow, and Jafar was restored as the Nawab in 1763 with the support of the company. Mir Qasim, however, refused to accept this and rebelled, and made an alliance with Nawab of Awadh Suja ud Dawla and Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II. The alliance of three led to the Battle of Buxar in 1764. Suja, Qasim and Alam fought against East India Company under Major Hector Munro. However, despite favorable numbers, EIC won. The consequence of this victory was the Allahabad Treaty. In the Allahabad Treaty, three things happened. First, the establishment of dual system in Bengal. The Mughal emperor went on pension, and Nawab of Awadh paid war indemnity. Under dual system in Bengal, Nawab of Bengal retained the judicial and administrative functions, but the company had the power to collect revenue in Bengal, Bihar and Orissa. This led to something called power without responsibilities, since the administration was with Nawab of Bengal, but they had no financial rights, which lied with company. Also with this, since the administrative functions were not with East India Company, the company will not come under British Parliament scanner. Also, open annexation may have resulted joint war from princely states, and other European powers may not have recognized the authority of Britishers. The Mughal emperor was given a pension of rupees 26 lakhs annually. In exchange, EIC got revenue rights over 40,000 square kilometers of taxable fertile land. And districts of Kora and Allahabad were returned to the Mughal emperor, and Mughal emperor was exiled to Allahabad. Nawab of Awadh paid the war indemnity of rupees 53 lakhs and was sent back to Awadh with a promise to money to operate the court and a subsidiary army. So, with Battle of Plassey and Battle of Buxar, British strongly established its control over one of the most powerful provinces in India, which was Bengal. Parallelly, there were wars going on in South India, in the region of Carnatic, which is today's Tamil Nadu. Charles VI succeeded his elder brother Joseph I as Holy Roman Emperor, King of Bohemia, King of Hungary and Croatia, Serbia and Archduke of Austria in 1711. He had no male heirs, had only 2 daughters. Since he preferred his daughters over his brother and other potential successors, he brought Pragmatic Sanction of 1713, through which he declared that female succession is allowed. He died in 1740, and because of Pragmatic Sanction which he brought in 1713, his daughter Maria Theresa succeeded him, which was resented by conservative sections and other Western monarchies. This led to Austrian War of Succession, in which France and Britain joined the opposite forces in this war. British East India Company and French East India Company were engulfed in the war because of this Austrian War of Succession, since France and Britain were on the opposite sides. The war commenced when the fleet of the British Army arrived on the Coromandel coast and started seizing all the French ships. Nawab of Arcot, Anwaruddin, was requested by the French governor to intervene, but the Nawab did not show any interest, and the French later on attacked the British people and imprisoned many people, including Robert Clive, and captured Madras. In order to recapture Madras from the French troops, the Nawab of Arcot, Anwaruddin, sent his people but was defeated because of less number of soldiers. The entire army was routed by the French troops in the Battle of Adayar or Battle of Maliapur. Only a 500-strong French army was able to repel the 10,000-strong force of the Arcot Nawab. This clearly showed the weakness of the Indian military troops and superiority of the French. Later on, the negotiations about the fate of Madras started, and during this period, Lord Clive and some other prisoners were able to slip out of the prison. In the year 1748, the Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle was signed that ended the war that was waging in Europe, and finally the peace between England and France was restored. With the termination of the war, the First Carnatic War also came to an end. As per the Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle, Madras was given back to the British in exchange for the French fortress of Louisbourg in North America, which the British had captured. At the end of the First Carnatic War, the French governor Dupleix realized about the weakness of the Indian military rulers. That is, everyone wanted to become the king. Therefore, he started looking for opportunities where he could initiate internal quarrels and extend the French influence in India. He got the opportunity in 1748 with the death of Nawab of Hyderabad, Asaf Jah I. With his death, War of Succession broke out in the southern states between his son Nasir Jung and grandson Muzaffar Jung. The proxy war started in India, and this proxy war came to be known as Second Carnatic War. It was called proxy because British and French were fighting in the name of Hyderabad and Carnatic. French support Muzaffar Jung for Hyderabad and Chanda Sahib for Carnatic, while English supported the rival candidates Nasir Jung and Muhammad Ali for the throne of Hyderabad and Carnatic respectively, as a result of which an Anglo-French war was waged that continued for 5 years from 1749 to 1754, and this was known as Second Carnatic War. In the Battle of Ambur in 1749, Nawab of Arcot Anwaruddin was defeated and killed by the French soldiers. Nawab's son Muhammad Ali fled and took refuge under the English troops. Chanda Sahib became the Nawab of Arcot with the support of French. Nasir Jung was also killed by the French armies, and Muzaffar Jung was crowned Nizam of Hyderabad. Later on, Muzaffar Jung was also killed, and French nominated Salabat Jung on the throne of Hyderabad and continued their influence in the Deccan region. So, in both the wars, in Hyderabad as well as in Carnatic, the French succeeded. Because of the military support rendered by the French army, 4 districts on the Coromandel coast were given to the French by the Nizam of Hyderabad, called by the name of Northern Sarkars. English were petrified, as they were outsmarted by the French in both the wars. Here, the cunning British Robert Clive, a clerk of EIC, enters the scene. He devised a plan of attacking Arcot. The plan received a go-ahead by the East India Company. British attacked Arcot and displaced Chanda Sahib, who was crowned by the French, and captured the capital Arcot of Carnatic, famously known as Siege of Arcot of 1751. This siege brought a lot of appreciation for Clive. Britain's PM went to the extent of addressing him as heaven-born general. With this, the siege of Arcot was not a declared war. It was not because of any contemporary war going on in Europe between France and England, as was the case in the First Carnatic War. This was the result of the intrigues of generals of French and East India Company. Since the siege of Arcot was not sanctioned by the British and the French government, it was condemned by both the governments. Dupleix was replaced with Godeheu, who signed the Treaty of Pondicherry on 26 December 1754. This ended the Second Carnatic War. As a result, the English helped Muhammad Ali to become the Nawab of Hyderabad. Also, the entire Carnatic came under the influence of English. Both France and England promised not to indulge with any kind of internal politics. All this led to the decline of the French influence and ascent of the British influence in India. The Third Carnatic War was the result of 7 years' war which broke out in Europe between Great Britain and France. After the Battle of Plassey in 1757, the British forces wrested Chandanagar in Bengal from the French. The French under Count de Lally captured Fort St. George and attacked the English to acquire Madras. But he was defeated by the English forces under Sir Eyre Coote in the Battle of Wandiwash in 1760. The French lost their Indian possessions including Pondicherry, Mahe, Gingi and Karaikal to the British. The war ended with the Treaty of Paris in 1763. As per this treaty, Chandanagar and Pondicherry were returned to France, but they were barred from fortifying them or having troops in them. They could only have trading activities. Now, what were the reasons of British victory? First of all, the British naval strength was far superior than the French one. Also, British had Madras, Bombay, Calcutta as 3 important posts. In contrast, French had only one strong post, which was Pondicherry. Britain could rely on the other 2 bases if one is lost, while the French couldn't. So this was the weakness of French. The victory at the Battle of Plassey opened up the British to a rich area, namely Bengal, and hence they had financial resources to fight a big war. Most importantly, the British had many capable and able soldiers like Robert Clive, Stranger Lawrence and Sir Eyre Coote. The effects of the Third Carnatic War were the French hopes of building an empire in India were completely dashed, and established Britain as the paramount European power in India along with the Battle of Plassey. In the next video, we will cover Anglo-Mysore Wars and Anglo-Maratha Wars. Thank you for watching, and if you like this video, please subscribe and like and share with others. Thank you.